Welcome to this week's episode of Business Solutions, where we provide solutions on formed lifestyles. My name is Kingsley Oluoko, and as we gear up for the December festivities, the January anxiety is always on our stomachs, on our belly and our minds, name it all, be it for school fees, be it for, planning for a new year, be it for business opening their balance. But we get to find out how we're going to manage our December holiday amicably and ways of managing our finances in a way that of course pleases the Lord and will not leave us in a stuck situation when you're in January. And so to unpack this, I'm joined by a licensed advisor, financial advisor by the IRA. He will be introducing himself. He will be telling us a snippet of what he has been doing over the years in this industry and why he does it. So thank you and welcome so much, Mr. James. Maybe you could introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, why you do this, and why you're so passionate about it.
Sure. Thank you so much, Kingsley, for this chance to be here to share with us on this topic of matters finances.
Okay.
And as I said, my name is James Wanyugi Wairimu, and I'm a personal finance coach and also a licensed financial advisor. And beyond this, I joined this more than 5 years ago, and I do this as a passion. This is something that I've grown tracking my money. I was sharing earlier how I grew up with a mother. I'm raised by a single mother who wanted the best out of his son, and I remember when I was a little child, I would see him with a 32 pages exercise book tracking her money, like sending me to the bank when I was little boy, queuing and doing those deposits, later doing those calculations together. And I think later I realized when she achieved so much being illiterate, I realized, by the way, money can be done differently. It doesn't matter the level of education and what it is. So it's a passion that I've grown over time. And for the last 5 years, I decided to be licensed and to come out there and actually talk about this difficult topic about finances and money.
Yes.
Because whenever we talk about money, it's always a very hard topic. But the reality is it's a topic that we cannot avoid to talk about.
Yes, and we are coming at a time when the country, or rather even Kenyans themselves, the taxpayers, have faced a lot of financial burden for this year, and getting into the holidays, it's normally a time to wind down. It's normally a time to breathe, get a sigh of relief over what has been happening. And so this begs the question, how much can we spend then? Because January is facing us, we're not stopping at December. Then as a financial advisor, this seasons come time and again. What are the key pointers that you guys face, even in budgeting and expenditures, that you need to point out to your clients and even to the general public?
Sure. And that's an amazing question, because we are in a season where there's someone who told me that, James, our pay slips are like a supermarket receipt where you can see the deductions are increasing every day. We are not sure whether how much I earn is enough and all this. And sometimes we can be caught up in that place of panic, and we are heading to a place where by default you can see every mall is lighting, and psychologically everything is switching to a psychologically to a place of spend and spend and spend. But again, I love what you have asked. It's the question of then how do I approach the whole thing. And I like avoiding the word budgeting, because budget is a big word that you hear the word budget and you shiver. But I like calling it an expenditure plan. What is your plan about how much you earn versus how much can I keep aside? And this is a season where I encourage us, do we have a name into our finances? Have I called every shilling a name, or do I just get my money and just try to figure out every bill, what has not been paid, what is paid, and all that? So I come to a place of, do I know how much is coming in, and have I given every shilling a name even before I get it? Because most of us, if we are in business, we may be in that place where I'm not sure how much I will get.
Okay.
But if you are in a pay slip, you already know how much you are getting after deductions. Have I given every shilling a name? And maybe that is a good place to start.
Okay. Then starting that, how much you're earning, how much is getting into your account, then I beg, then there are recommendations and contributions to retirement accounts, IRA, and other investments, even as we go to the December holidays.
Yes.
Speak about savings. Let us tackle this topic from backwards in January.
Yeah.
Facing January, knowing that you have December, then how should you be managing your expenses, still basing arguments on the December holidays?
Awesome. Yeah, and that's a good question. When we talk about saving, I look at, I like talking about budgeting formula that we call 50-30-20 rule. And when I mention this, it's not a default, like it must be this way. I know there are people who say, by the James, I don't have a family, I'm single, and for me 50-30-20 rule doesn't apply to me. I actually save, and 50-30-20 rule means differentiate between wants and needs. And wants, and also saving on the other side. And I want you to approach this from a direction of maybe someone who doesn't have a debt, because debt also is something to factor in. 50% is comes into the needs, things that can never change. Maybe you are renting, and house rent, no matter what, rent will be paid. Or the electricity bill, the water bills, and all this. Those are the needs, the things that help you to run around. And sometimes if you are driving to work, the fuel comes in there. If you do Uber or Matatu, transport comes in there. And then the 30%, I come to a place where things that can happen or cannot happen. Maybe you support your parents somewhere. Maybe there is a cause that you decided to be supporting. It's a want. It's not something that is cast on a board. And then we come to the 20% where we say, this is how much I save. And then when we come to savings, how much do I save for holidays? How much do I save for my for different needs? But also, I come to a place of, I divide the 20% into long term, medium term, and short term. And I think along the talk we will maybe handle the 20%, but it's good to actually say, this holiday, this is how much I'm budgeting. If I'm to travel to my village, how much will that be, and what is the bare minimum? And we have a black tax. We are in Africa. We are in a place where the parents brought you up, someone paid for your education, a guardian, or whatever it is. They have an expectation when they see your cow, or they see you in the village. There is an expectation there is an unga or something that will come to their home. So maybe we can tackle around that. But if we don't give each and everything a name, we will be caught up in a place where...
And one of the things that we give a name, or rather they're already named for us, once from the day we were born, is taxes.
Yes.
And I want to hear or rather tax saving strategies for your business, or rather even your personal expenditure, and how you can be able to manage, or rather give us insight on deductions, charitable contributions, which are coming up and again in our life year on year. Other than the end year strategies.
I would love you to...
I'm asking, are there maybe any tax strategies that someone should consider before the year ends, so that we'll be able to help you budget and get more investment and money for your expenditure in December?
Sure. For me, as I have approached this topic from a place of giving every shilling a name, and finances actually is the discipline and consistency, where maybe someone has never started doing this, but if we would start where we are right now, or someone is saying, by the I need to start doing this, either it's in a spreadsheet or in a mobile app or wherever it is, just trying to see how much you need for at a certain point. And for me, why I like tracking or spying on our money is where you have... Maybe I usually tell guys, if you would track your money for 3 months, on the 4th month you would be so sure, if I get this amount of money, this goes to this place and that place. It becomes so clear. But if you have not yet started there, maybe it's to just take the traditional way of a book. I love sometimes scribbling things on the paper. And maybe this comes to maybe guys with families, where how do we look into this area, both of us, husband and a wife? Sometimes do you need an Excel sheet where if you update something, it updates on the other side, everyone is at the same page. For me, it's just to look at how much have we assigned to each and everything that we are looking for. And this applies to the taxes, the black taxes, and even the normal taxes. Where does each and every shilling that we earn go to?
Lies.
Yes.
The other thing that I would wish to know is December comes with a lot of emergencies.
Yes.
Where children accidents and all that. So how are you able to beef up your emergency fund based on your current financial situation, just before we go to the how to manage the savings and even the business expenditures?
Awesome. For me, I like, and this is a very good question, because sometimes rainy days will always come, and they come with a dent, in our finances. And first of all, we need to know that we need to differentiate our savings from our emergency fund.
Okay.
An emergency fund should be in a place where you cannot run a card and just do an immediate purchase. You can access that money, but it can take you maybe an hour or two to get it. I have an emergency, but it's not an automatic thing where I just run to that place and get it. And this, I like differentiating between a bank account. Nowadays, people talk about money markets and all that. Having an emergency fund means if anything comes along the way, I'll be able to run to this place and then I'll be able to sort out whatever it is.
Okay.
And also, we need to define what is an emergency, because someone can say, I want to upgrade my sofa set, or we need to define what an emergency is. Maybe a car has broken down and it helps you to go to work every day. For me, I call that an emergency. A sickness, maybe just something that comes to derail you from your normal activity. And for me, I usually say 10% of my income should go to an emergency fund. And another thing that helps emergency funds help us to do is that it avoids us to run into debts.
Okay.
Because once I have an emergency fund, instead of going to download the next app, maybe to see how much I qualify to get, an emergency fund helps you to actually avoid debt. And if someone is in debt, I encourage them still consider to have an emergency fund, because it will help you not to dig deeper into debts.
Okay.
That would be
And that is very practical. You have a concrete figure already, 10% for the emergency fund.
Yes.
But I'm talking to a time when financial constraints are really up there. Everybody's facing it. Should that be altered? I know emergency it's like an insurance. You don't see it unless it's there. So should it be altered in terms of financial situations, and even with the pool of investments that you can have? How do we go about it?
I still come back to the 50-30-20 rule.
Okay.
If I am not saving, I'm living above my means. It doesn't matter. If I'm paying rent of 20,000 shillings and financial times are difficult, I ask myself, what do I need to tighten on my 50% so that it allows the 10% to be there? Either the deductions are going high or low. For me, I still adjust the 50%. What do I need? Maybe I drive to work every day. Should I start now maybe some days in a week where maybe I have an early morning meeting? That is the time that I'm driving. The rest of the time I'm queuing for, and I love the way our matatu system is maybe somehow shaping up. Or do I eat lunch maybe 150 per day around my work, my working space? Can I do a takeaway? And I think I want to commend our ladies. Even some few offices, I've seen them, microwaves are in our offices nowadays, where someone, like lunchtime has come, you go to the microwave, you warm your food, you continue taking your lunch. And for me, when I talk about emergency fund, if you look at tracking your finances, we know where to tighten some nuts here and there. What do I need to sacrifice? And sometimes we come to a place of, when the difficult times come, do I even consider where I live? Do I consider where my children goes to school? There will always be a place to adjust. And I usually say, if I cannot reduce my expenses, then I need to increase my income. What is the gifting? What can I talk about? Endlessly. Maybe it could be a place where I can start as a side hustle. And nowadays we have online spaces. I can maybe start an online space where I can do deliveries on Saturdays when I'm not working, or a certain evening. I know myself, I've been there, and eventually I had I could talk about cars endlessly, and I started as a side hustle for importing cars from Japan and the UK for the last 10 years. It became a place where it buffers my budgeting, my expenses. Once in a while I can get maybe a month I'm doing 2 cars coming in. I'm able to buffer my expenses, and I realize there's always a space for us to adjust either expenses, or on the other hand, having an extra income somewhere. Then December always plays a planning role. While you're winding down, you're also foreseeing what the future looks like, and that's January. And when does the most employed Kenyans, or rather even those in businesses, most of the money they budgeted at the end of the month. So I'm thinking about December when it's coming to close around 20th, because I know from 21st people now start to traveling. Where does the planning for the next year begins? Actually, the planning for next year should start as early as the end of November. And I usually say, like right now, this morning we were driving with my wife. I was dropping her somewhere, and we were like, can we do an installment for the January school fees? And before the children goes back to school, the first beginning of the year, we have this list of the requirements.
Okay.
We buy them as early as the first week of December, where we say, by the way, everyone will be queuing at the wholesale shops within town. Can we buy this list? Actually, I told my daughter, can you screenshot that paper for me and send it to me? I need to have it, and I know when to buy the stuff early. So when it comes in January, if I still go back to the way maybe I do pay my school fees and all that. I budget every month for my children. It doesn't matter they are opening tomorrow, or like December they had 2 months closing, they closed around mid-October. So what we usually do is that we pay installments along the way, even when they are not in school, so that when they are opening school, I've knocked down more than half the school fees. And now the end of January, maybe I'm clearing off. And for me, planning for the next year should start as early as the end of this month, maybe in the next 1 or 2 days, so that we are not caught in that place where we are not sure whether whatever we have will even be an installment that a school director can listen to, a place where you need to have patience with me.
Yes.
Can we start early enough? And I love it because as long as I have money on my M-Pesa, if I don't give it a name again, and I will repeat maybe this many times, it will give itself a name.
Okay.
You will go somewhere and you will get something, and along the way you realize you have used something that you should not have used.
Let's now switch to businesses from personal finance. You've mentioned key things that I've picked from you. Every finance needs to have its name.
Yes.
Plan early.
Yes.
Always foresee what is coming. Have a rule 50-30-20 on your expenditures. Now, switching to the finances, or rather the business aspect of it, it can be a bit challenging because here you're dealing with a lot of operational costs, unforeseeable circumstances, external environment, taxes and all that. And even the surge of sales, depending on what your business is handling, then how can I ensure my business is financially prepared for the end of the year?
Awesome. Yeah, I still come to this place of, do we know our operational costs? Like for the last 8 months, or maybe you have been in business for a while, would you actually tell how much you have been using at any given month? And during Christmas, I know there are companies who tell their employees, by the way, there's this package that we give besides what you have been earning for the sake of the holiday season and all that. Do we know how much we have been? Do we look back and we can almost look forward and tell you, by the way, if nothing changes, this is how much we will need? And this is a season where, if your business also is in a place where maybe this is a place where people have planned to buy stuff along the way, are we seeing out there? Can we also, as much as we are looking at the expenses ahead, can we also look at how much extra can we make in this season? How much are we making? Like, can we take advantage of the social media? What can we take advantage of? Can we have that bundle gifts where we can attach few products with other products that can increase our sales? For me, it's a matter of looking not just expenditure, but also looking into how can we maximize this season, because there are people who put some money aside just for this season. Are we also taking advantage of whatever we are offering in the market out there?
Okay, and even as you mentioned about how you can maximize on how to drive your sales to create more profits, because expenses are pretty much the same. Yeah, basing an argument on how it has been in the past. Then how should I then allocate my profits or manage cash flow for the end of the year, even as the year begins or the financial year starts?
And for me, I think the beginning of the year comes into with extra costs, and some of these could be maybe a subscription we have done as a company out there, maybe to help us be seen, maybe the SEOs, maximizations and all this. Can we be able to knock off some of these expenses ahead of time, so that again, when that time comes, we don't have the pressure of our expenditure are usually higher on January and we don't have enough capital to raise this. And for me, it's to look holistically into look into this place where can we be able to squeeze our expenses from how much we have made, so that we can report lesser profit at the end of the year, but we have reported lesser profits because we have also moved into 2015 already. And I like I've attended few companies recently that look back and actually to see how far they can go ahead of this coming year. And these are very important. Maybe I can call it a strategizing strategy, where we don't just end the year because we have always been here. It's actually sitting down with key people and actually asking yourself very difficult questions. What are we seeing ahead of us? What is the growth strategy ahead of us? And actually those are the places where we actually realize, out of the brainstorming, actually there are a few things that we can do differently this coming season, out of looking back to actually strategize ahead. And this comes into, can we reduce the pressure for this coming year? And some of the bills, I as a financial advisor, sometimes we look at a place where, what can I do with this money if I held it for one extra month versus if I pay it in advance, and up to which percentage. And again, we come to a place of even budgeting for the companies, because sometimes we think business is not just companies, even a small business. Do I have a budget for my business? Do I have even a CSR? Because these are also the season where we see most companies going to children's homes. There is a way we want to give back to the society. Can we also do this, even as we trickle into it's a place where we do this spending, but can we also try to put our step ahead of the 2025?
Okay.
Yes.
I hear you and how you're supposed to manage expenses. I got something that you said. You can increase your expenses early so that you reduce the deductions when it comes to the end of the year in terms of budgeting. And I wish to ask, then is there a way to improve my business cash flow before the year ends? Maybe tips on improving collections or managing accounts payable and reducing unnecessary expenses. Are there tips that you can mention?
Yeah, for me, I would still come back to these places of maybe having deals with. I know there are people who, if you go to some of these online shops, I know recently I've been buying few things here and there, and I will always, before I even go to a physical store, I want to go to the online to actually see the market rate. Are we out there? Are we being seen? And there's someone who said we have been in places where we used to bring advertisements to people, but sometimes we need to bring the advertisement
to ourselves. Like, it's on your screen, we are browsing every day, and we come to this place where you see, when you Google something, you see the clients also bought. You see, are you being seen in those spaces? Are you in a place where, if you go to some of these markets and supermarkets, I think yesterday we were doing a shopping somewhere, and I realized there are people who have put a shopping basket of few things that are together. Can I have a strategy where I have a deal with the supermarket? I can offer this product at this price so that you can attach it to the shopping basket that you are offering. Am I taking advantage of these strategies that are being used out there, so that again my product is not just in a shelf somewhere just waiting for someone to pass by and buy? Am I also taking advantage of what is happening every day? And also being data driven, maybe sales, where we look back and realize, by the way, last year the same time we did this business, what can we do better now to increase the sales today? The Google algorithms, or I don't know the best way to call that. Have we been tracking who has been doing searching of products that are related to us? And there's a lot that can be done to maximize sales at this time. And as I'm saying, for me, maybe the default would be, are we being seen out there? And I usually tell people, sometimes some of these things are for free. Maybe we just pay just for some few maximization benefits in some of the people who run our websites and all this. There is so much to do at this time, and I can tell you, maybe there's a big percentage of people who, before they go to buy anything, myself I included, first of all, on my phone to actually see, is it available in a better deal out there? And I actually love the fact that you pointed out the role data does in even forecasting for your business and how you can make key decisions for your time. Then I wish to understand, then, what is the best approach to year-end accounting and financial reporting for my business? How do steps you can take to prepare your books for a smooth year closing and review? I know now people are closing their I know it happens in June there, but it's still an end year thing for most personal expenses, which also affects the business, because there are some decisions the business will make for the employees and even for the customers, which affect them as an end year. Then, so how do you approach your closing of books and reporting of financial inflows and outflows at this time?
Great. For me, I usually like the just in time. Like, by the end of each week, or maybe you have been doing it monthly, can we make it, and this can be a lot of pressure maybe to the people involved into this, can we do these reports as they happen? And maybe, I don't know, maybe there are some few softwares here and there that can help actually. As things happen, can we keep on updating so that we know on the go what is coming in, what is going out, versus our goals, the long-term goals maybe, and goals that we have to have the beginning of the year. Do we have just in time, maybe a place where we know we may not be able to wait for the December, and I know some guys may be breaking for some few days, so there will be a shake-up somewhere, or there are people who will change shifts, by the way. You went for the last holiday, so this time you may be holding fort. Do we have that place where our data is trickling in on time, where nothing is catching us on surprise, where we can always almost tell this is how much we have moved, and this is how much we are increasing. Actually, you can say by this Christmas seems it will be a good season for us in business, versus we are just waiting for a surprise of January.
Okay, on the go reporting is what you're saying. Businesses should adapt. And even as we wrap up now, I would wish to understand financing of businesses. I know when it comes to the next year, most businesses at this time, according to the data from KNBS, there has been low returns.
Yes.
Then now financing opportunities are coming up severally all over. We have World Bank, or rather such financial institutions coming in. Startups are also, most companies are coming up to finance startups. Businesses which are there, loans are also there. We have investments, treasury bills, and all that. Then how do you advise businesses to go about their financing for a new year?
Awesome. Yeah, for me, I also look at financial the benefits of financial advisors, because sometimes there is so much information we don't know out there, or who is loaning SMEs for the project, maybe, and most of them come to a place of, do you have data, the past data, where have you come in, how far do you want to go, or what is your long-term strategy, so that whatever you are being offered, first of all, it's not an expensive loan. And I come to either personal or businesses and all that. When you engage financial advisors, you are able actually to know what is in the market out there, who is offering what, and how much burden will that be to us. And I usually say, once we know what we need ahead of us, we actually avoid unnecessary like loans. Like sometimes we come to a place of, we need a loan, but actually how much will that money be cost us as a business, and how much will that mean into our growth? Will it be worth taking, or will it be worth like holding on to the second quarter of the year? So for me, I come to that place of understanding where we are, engaging financial advisors, what is being granted out there. And I know SMEs have been maybe a place where every other non-government organization is focusing into, because we come to a place of maybe less employment and all this, so they are empowering the business actually to become employers of the general public out there. So are we taking advantage of what is happening on the go in the market?
I've heard you, and I know you had mentioned that we need to tackle the 50-30-20 and what it means individually. Maybe I'll just give you a time even as we wrap up. I understand that there is also a lot lined up for us. Yes, maybe you could just mention what 50 means, what 30 means, what 20 means. You also mentioned the 10 for emergency fund, and how each one of them will represent a particular item from our salaries and businesses or profits.
Awesome. For me, I will again go back to the 50-30-20 rule, and these are 100% of how much we earn. Either they are deductions or no deductions. And I come to a place of the 50% of my income. Is it maybe, let me say I earn 10,000 shillings, just an example, because it's easier to break it down. That means 5,000 shillings is my 50%. Can it fit all my needs? If it goes beyond that, then I'm living above my means. And then 30%.
So that means your rent, your utility, your school fees, if you're having all that.
Even your school fees is there. So if I'm living above that, then I'm living above my means. And I said earlier that when I look at how much I pay, I have 2 children and 2 adopted. So I have 4 guys. I've broken down how much I need for all their upkeep into the 50%. Anything beyond that, now the 30%, that's where we come to black tax. That's where maybe someone is doing a wedding, whatever it is. And I said, we are in Africa, we cannot avoid all this.
Yes.
Maybe someone has lost a loved one, maybe I have a K. And this, we come to a place where I can tell someone I don't have money, and they can see I'm driving and I'm okay with that, because I know it has gone out of my budget. I cannot help you right now, but coming the next month, we can see whether we can do something. And I think that is maturity we should come to, because I have budgeted, I've given my money a name, and I'm okay with that. And why I love about that is that when you go to maybe the people that we think they are the richest people in our market, they even budget when they are going to do their golf. They even budget whatever they do. They can tell you, by the way, I don't have, and they are driving the biggest car you can see in the market. And for me, I'm okay with that, because I understand there are people who have given their money a name. If I go beyond that, I can tell you I don't have money, and I'm okay with that. And then the 20% we can come into the emergency fund. And I said emergency is to not upgrade a working phone with another working phone. An emergency is something that derails your daily activity. And then the next 10%, we put it in a place where I cannot withdraw it no matter what. Because the problem is that nowadays loans and debts have been advertised so much until we can't imagine buying a car without a loan, buying a home without a loan, even doing education without a loan. Debts have been advertised so much. But
the norm of the day.
Yes, and no one is telling us, by the way, can you put something aside for your future? And we talk about pensions and all this, but do I have a saving account that I cannot withdraw until a certain period? Because along the way, your mind will start becoming creative. I talked about having a side hustle. Maybe maybe halfway down the road, your long-term saving plan, you will start now thinking, what can I do with this thing that is coming up? Actually, it drives your brains into creative mode. And then you realize, by the way, I've been saving this, and maybe I've been squeezing a bit, but you know there is something coming ahead of you. And this is a place where now we engage financial advisors. Who is out there, because everyone is offering all kinds of products for savings. Who is stable enough for me to cast my finances in the next 10 years for long term? Who can offer me a 5 years plan where I can cast that 2,000 shilling, that 3,000 shilling, that 10,000 shilling towards my long term? Have I broken my 20% into short term, medium term, and long term? And as I said before, if you are not saving for your long term, again, I need to review again backward 50%, 30%, and 20%. And also, am I also living for myself? Because we are also in a place where I want to compare who is living the best life in the social media, in IG and all these places. Am I under pressure, family-wise, individually, and all these dimensions? Am I having financial discipline? Because finances is about consistency and discipline, either in business or in personal life. It revolves around these discipline. 2 areas. Yes.
Where can we find you?
First of all, I'm in socials. James Wanyugi. James Wanyugi. That is on Facebook, on Instagram, on not really on X. I'm also in X. But basically, I've also partnered with few companies that have proven their integrity out there in our market. These are places where I can cast my long-term goals. This is where I can cast my emergency fund, because I usually say put your emergency fund above in a place where it's above our inflation. Our inflation is around 7.5 there, according to the Central Bank of Kenya. Am I putting also my emergency fund in a place where my money is also inflation proof? Like in a place where it's above inflation. Is my money making something above that what is there in our normal places where we get our salaries? So it's just a matter of engaging our financial advisors and also looking into how do I approach these saving strategies.
I hear you. Picked 2 things very key. Get a name for all of your expenses, and money equates discipline. There you have it from James Wanyugi Wairimo, financial advisor and a licensed advisor by the IRA. That has been this week's episode of Business Solutions, finding ways we can manage our finances in this December to avoid jitters come January of 2025. My name is Kingsley Oluoko, where we provide solutions on formed lifestyles for business solutions. Until next